What's up, guys? Musi Gamer here, and today I'm bringing you a top 10 list of my biggest fears. It's Halloween. Halloween's coming, and so I thought, well, this is a good idea for a top 10 list because I'm a genius. I'm always a genius. You guys should know that. So, yeah, my top 10 biggest fears. Let's get started. Let's jump right into it. Go. Number 10. Yeah, so drowning, not really the biggest fear I have, but I mean it's up there. It's pretty high up there. I couldn't imagine drowning. I think that would be a terrible, terrible, terrible experience. But I've not really been too scared of drowning, especially since I've lived in Florida for so long, and we're just surrounded by water. Basically, I'm around water all day, especially when I used to work as a lifeguard at a water park. I was around water a lot, and I kind of lost the fear there. But I mean, I still couldn't even imagine how terrible it would be to drown, and I would never, ever want to. I don't think anyone would ever want to drown. But yeah, that's number 10. Not really much to say about that one, because it's not really as big a fear as it once was. It used to be a pretty big fear. I used to be pretty scared of drowning when I was younger, but I've grown out of that. So let's move on to number 9. Number 9. So this one's kind of weird. It's not really a fear, but it's kind of a fear. It's not like a fear in the typical sense. It's not like, oh my god, no, run. It's more like a personal fear. Like, I want to achieve certain things in my life. There's certain things I want and that I will achieve, that I believe I will achieve. I honestly believe I will. And if I don't achieve a lot of these things I really want to achieve, I'm not going to be happy. Like a lot of people who want to achieve their dreams, they're just not going to have a fulfilled life. And I don't want that. I want to have as fulfilling a life as you can get, because you only get one chance at this, and I don't want to waste it. So that's kind of a big fear, is that I'm just going to end up wasting this one opportunity of greatness that I have. And that's just a pretty big fear. Not a fear in a typical sense, but you know what I'm saying. So let's move on to number 8. Number 8. Okay, so this one, probably a lot of people are going to say, well, that's dumb. There's no such thing. And I'm pretty skeptical myself, to be honest. But you can be afraid of something even if it's not 100% proven. And aliens are one of those things I'm pretty afraid of that may or may not exist. Just how it's described and how stories go. And I'm not saying I believe all of them, but still, some of them there might be some truth to. And it would terrify me if I encountered something like certain people say, like how they say they see little people with gray skin and big bulging eyes. I would run to the border. Why the border? I don't know. It's not like I'm running from the law. It's aliens. I mean, it'd be cool if they were like cool aliens, like E.T., like homeboys. You know, they come down and be like, "What's up?" and we'll be friendlies. We'll be friendly intergalactic species pals. But if they're like meanie buttholes, like in World of Worlds, that's gonna be terrifying. And I'm gonna run really hard, really fast, and it's not gonna be pretty. I'm not gonna be happy. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. Number 7. Okay, so number 7, I want to clarify something. I'm not really afraid of bugs in general. I don't really mind just bugs, regular bugs. But if it's a bug that I can't identify and it just looks weird and out of the ordinary, I'm gonna be weary about it. I'm not gonna want to touch it. I'm not gonna want to be near it. And I've encountered a few weird bugs in my day. I remember one time when I was sitting on a bus, there was this weird like stick-like bug, but it wasn't like a stick bug because it was like really slow moving, but it could jump. It would like jump on me, and I remember I was sitting there and I saw it, and it was like very slowly turning towards me, which was the scariest thing it could have done. If it would have just jumped right on me, I would have been scared, but it just slowly turned like it was some kind of demon-possessed bug. and it looked at me, and after like 5 straight minutes of it like setting itself up to lunge, it lunged on me, and I was terrified. And I was young then, by the way, and since then I've been pretty scared of just bugs I do not know what they are. But regular bugs, like, you know, just the regular bugs you see around, like dragonflies or spiders. Well, certain types of if I know it's poisonous, I'm not going to mess with it. But I don't really get afraid of spiders like I do weird bugs. So, yeah. So let's move on to number 6. Number 6. So this one is probably pretty understandable. I wouldn't really want to get completely lost. Not just like getting lost like, oh, I lost my way while I was driving home from work or whatever. That's a fixable loss. Like, I'm saying like a loss that cannot be fixed. Like, you cannot return, basically. A complete and utter lostness. Like, never being able to come back to where you once was. That just scares me. But yeah, not being around anyone you knew, or being around any person, even if it's like completely lost somewhere completely foreign. I just couldn't imagine. And I wouldn't want to imagine. And you know what? I'm going to stop imagining now. I'm going to stop talking about it, and we're going to move on to number 5. I don't know why, though, because that's going to be a bigger fear. And all these are going to be continuously bigger fears. And I'm just trying to move along because I'm getting scared just talking about them. It's number 5. So number 5 is another probably really understandable one. Just total embarrassment. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. Nobody wants to be made a fool. And some people have extra sensitivity to being embarrassed. And I'm probably one of those people. I'm terrified of embarrassment. I do not like it. I do not want it to happen ever to me. I know it will happen. It always happens to everyone. You can't be safe from embarrassment. It's going to happen to you. From time to time. You just can't help it. But I do not enjoy embarrassment. I'm sure no one does, but it is a pretty big one of mine. I do not like it. It's more of a social one than anything else. But yeah. So let's move on to number 4. Sorry if I'm going kind of quick through these. It's kind of late. And I'm kind of tired, and I just kind of want to go to bed. And I'm trying to rush through these so I don't have nightmares tonight. Number 4. Alright, number 4 might sound a bit weird to some, but I can't stand when it's completely silent and completely dark. Like, I just cannot handle it. My mind cannot handle that. If it is completely dark and silent in a room, I will go crazy, and I just can't handle it. I have to have some form of light or some form of sound to know that, like, okay, there's still sensory inputs going into my mind. It just puts me in a weird way, you know. You don't know where it's like you don't know where you are. You can't see anything, you can't hear anything. It's just not a happy state of mind. I'm not really afraid of the dark per se. I don't really mind it when it's dark, but when it's to the point where you literally can't see anything and you can't hear anything, that's when I start getting freaked out, because you don't know what's going on. And I like to know what's going on around me. I don't like to be in the dark. Punny. Yeah, I don't like to be in the dark about what's going on in my immediate surroundings, so that's a big one for me. So let's move on again to number 3.
Number 3.
Now this one, probably a lot of people have, but I kind of have it for different reasons, but also the same. I mean, death is a scary thing for everyone, and we all eventually have to face the great demise. That's kind of dark. But we all know what's coming to us, and we all, in our own ways, we eventually come to terms with what life is and the precious amount of time we have here on this beautiful world. I'm largely afraid of it for the people around me, like a premature one where it's not my time to go, or at least not the time I want to be the time for me to go. I couldn't imagine the effects it would have on people in my surroundings, like my family, and like especially like my mom and aunt and all those people that know me and want to see me grow up into the young strapping lad that I will become. I would just hate them having to go through that. I wouldn't even care at all about me dying. I would despise everything because of what they'd have to go through. That one was probably the darkest on the list. So let's move on to something maybe a little less, maybe not really actually, but let's move on to number 2. Alright, another one where people might say, that's not a thing, that's not real, you're just being goofy. And again, I'm a bit of a skeptic myself, but certain experiences in my life has caused me to kind of lean a lot more towards the fact that this might be somewhat real on some occasions, especially more real than the little green people. But yeah, paranormal definitely freaks me out. I have lived in a few haunted houses, at least what I assume were haunted. Otherwise, they were just really freaky coincidences or events or whatever. But yeah, in a few houses I lived in, I think there were 3, or maybe 2, and then a house down the road from one of the houses I lived in was haunted, and I saw things there. And one of the houses I know was haunted by a young woman, or at least that's what I'm told. I only got about a glimpse. I did catch a glimpse, not enough of an actual thing to actually see like actual things. That was a really bad sentence. But I know I seen something. Like, I was laying on the couch, and I looked at the love seat next to me, and it looked like there was something there, you know, like it wasn't really in the form of a person, but I could tell it was something that was not normal. And I've had a few other coincidences, too. This one's pretty freaky. In the few houses down from where we lived in a apartment place kind of thing, there was a person who had murdered, I think it was his mother, and he got sent to jail. The police were there a few days, and then eventually they were gone after the whole thing happened. And so a few weeks later, I think, I was riding my bike with my buddies. I was about 11, 12-ish, maybe. And right behind the house was a little hill that we'd always ride our bikes down because we were dangerous like that. I pushed my bike up the hill, and the house was right in front of the hill, so you could see, like, in through the back window. And I didn't look in there, but I kind of caught out of the corner of my eye. There was a, like, black figure in there, and it looked like a woman, and, like, the hair was really messy looking. And, of course, it was only out of the corner of my eye, so I can't be sure, but all I could see was just a black figure, and it was scary. I didn't really notice what it was at first, because I didn't really pay attention to what house I was at. But later on, I was like, oh my god, what was that? And yeah, that was a really freaky experience. And it was just experiences like that that have caused me to be very terrified of them. And yeah, that's a really big one of mine, but not number 1. What is number 1? Let's move on to it now. Number 1. So this one kind of ties into everything that I just mentioned previously. Well, not everything, but a lot of the things. Basically, just being afraid of what is unfamiliar to you, what you don't know, not what is not average. Things we don't know are pretty scary if you think about it. Like, imagine the crazy things that might be dwelling in the bottom of the ocean. We have not discovered a lot of things that have been in the bottom of the ocean that are living there now. There's some pretty crazy creatures that we've had the pleasure of introducing to the world, such as the giant squid. Those are friendly. And then, of course, the vastness of space. Who knows what could be out there? It's all unknown to us. And like the paranormal thing, we don't really know. And that kind of scares me that we don't know it. It would make me feel better if we were at least certain one way or another. But we're not. We don't know, and we probably can't know, and we probably never will know. And I just have to live with that, and so do you. It's a scary world out there, but it's the only one we got. So enjoy it, despite all your fears. And speaking of your fears, why don't you go ahead and let's talk about it in the comments below. I'll be like your psychologist. And we'll talk about all your problems and why you have these fears. Not really, but you can leave your fears in the comments below, and we can maybe discuss, have a conversation. And of course, to everyone, I hope you have a very, very happy Halloween. Get all the candy you need. Make sure all your teeth are rotted out, because that's what the Halloween season is all about. So I am Musi Gamer, and I am a gorilla. Gorilla.